Let's continue here on Boxing Row. We're joined by a gentleman. As a matter of fact, he is the voice, the PA voice of the Utah Jazz. But not only that, he has done a lot of stuff as it relates to HBCUs, outside of HBCUs, with colleges. I got to tell this story. I was at my very first time at the SWAC tournament back in 2023 in Birmingham, and I'm sitting there at the the media table, and I hear this voice over the PA system. And I'm like, man, that guy sounds great. Who is that guy? And come to find out, it is Marque Denmon. As a matter of fact, again, he's the PA voice for the Utah Jazz, and we've known each other a couple of years now. Got a lot of respect for what he does. It just called the Andre Dawson Classic, as a matter of fact, last Saturday, as he joins us right here on Boxing Row. What's going on, Marque?
Oh, man, Donald, it's great to be on you and your platform, man. Just keeping it moving.
Yeah. How has it been? Like, take us through that. And one of the things I like to say about you is, and it's not the only thing, you've done Harlem Globetrotters, you've done Auburn, like you've done a lot of different things. But one of the things I like to say, especially the way we met, because we first met, actually, as you remember, at the HBCU All-Star game, the basketball game in Houston in that same year in 2023. So I like to say about you, HBCU/SWAC to NBA. Take us through it, man. What is it like being the PA voice of the Utah Jazz?
Well, first and foremost, it's an exhilarating experience. One that comes with a lot of responsibility. A lot of people in the public, sports fans, they know mostly the TV broadcasters, your play-by-play, your color commentators, your sideline reporters. Everyone's not necessarily familiar with the arena voice, the public address announcer, whatever the event is sports-wise, football, soccer, basketball, baseball. For me, in this particular role as the public address announcer for the Utah Jazz, who, first of all, I need to mention that I'm replacing a voice of 46 years, the only voice that they've known here in Salt Lake City for the Jazz since they moved from New Orleans. A gentleman by the name of Dan Roberts held this post for 46 years. And so that's a lot of institutional knowledge. That's seeing a lot. That's a gentleman that actually called the Bird Magic Johnson game in 1979 when they were still in college, because that was also, that game was played here in Salt Lake City. So for me, being the voice of the Utah Jazz in an attempt to give you a most succinct, pointed answer, is a high prestige. It comes with great honor. The fan base here is absolutely unparalleled across the league. They're here when the team is bad, when times are good, they show up. And so for me, in the role that I cover, getting the electricity, commanding and connecting, call and response, and all of these various things with this crowd, with this fan base, is a high responsibility, is fulfilling, and I'm very, very pleased to be able to sit in the chair.
Yeah, no, it's interesting because you mentioned when the team is not good. Look, you see, I wore my Washington Wizards shirt because I'm a Wizards fan. And look, I think about last year, like the Wizards had an opportunity to get the #1 pick. All they had to do was lose to Utah, and they decided to win the game. Okay, so but I know guys want to play to win, of course. What is it like, man? How has that been though? Following, you mentioned a legend. How has it been following a legend?
Like I said, man, it comes with a great deal of responsibility. He has his sound, he had his connection, or has. I don't even speak of past tense, because don't expect for fans to discard or forget the work that he did over those 4+ decades. But for me, however, rather, in my role of coming in behind someone, with that kind of said ability. Matter of fact, he's the leader in public address announcers in terms of tenure, games called. There's no other PA in the league. I don't know that it will ever be duplicated. The man has almost 2,300 games. So for me, I've come in and with the intent of establishing my own connection with the Salt Lake and the Utah Jazz fan base. What that has done or meant for me is going out in the community, not just doing my job in the arena. Going out in the community, getting familiar with the Salt Lake community and the business community, the high schools, various other places, eateries, and just getting around town and getting a connection with this community and knowing, tapping in and knowing what it means to be of origin from here, respecting what they do here, the customs and all of these things. And then for me, actually, when I crack that mic open inside the arena, when it's time for the bullets to start flying, for lack of a better phrase, I just let my 18 to 19 years of my pedigree that you mentioned earlier kind of take over, and be my authentic self. And what I've done with it is just adapt to the NBA platform, to the Utah Jazz's platform. We have a great production team here that has beyond great intent. They put a lot of thought, a lot of study, and they have, or we rather, currently all collectively do a really, really good job of providing one of the best, if not the best, production inside the league.
Wow. That the voice of Marque Denmon. He is the PA voice of the Utah Jazz. He joins us right here on Box to Row. What's maybe, because you've got the voice, so a lot of times you're going to get the kudos from the players of the opposing teams. As a matter of fact, certainly. What's like the coolest thing that's happened to you, or the coolest thing that one of the players from an opposing team has said to you to this point?
Oh, man, that's a very good question, Donald. I appreciate it too, because I don't solicit or seek out or gawk at the athletes in general, the Jazz players to be included. I'm there to support them, create the environment, get the electricity, and provide an experience for all the fans and everybody else involved to this NBA and Utah Jazz experience. But to answer your question pointedly, man, in my short period of time already, players like Kevin Durant, KD, they come to the table. They all come to the table, obviously, and have given very high compliments as to what it is that I do pregame and getting the crowd amped. KD says to me, "Oh, you getting them hyped up, huh? You're doing the job." It's a couple of weeks ago, CD Sissoko with the Portland Trail Blazers says to me, as he's getting ready just to check into the game, that an announcement I did, he looked back over the table to see where the voice was coming from, I guess. And he says to me and gets eye contact and says, "Hey, bro, that was impressive." Just something as succinct and concise as those kind of things. Stephen Curry having a word before he goes out on the floor, listening to the introductions. When these gentlemen, they don't have to, weigh in and give compliments or whatnot. But I would be disingenuous, Donald, if I did not tell you that I came to be the best in this. I came to be the creme de la creme. I came to be the cream of the crop. And so to hear and have that kind of an immediate impact that the players are noticing that, because again, mind you, I'm new, and whether they expected it or no, it's impressionable, and I'm having that impression on the players, the environment, our community here. It's been very, very fulfilling for me.
Yeah, I would expect, knowing you, I would expect nothing less than, look, to get to even that point. You say you came to be the creme de la creme. Exactly right. To get to that is because it's another level. When you're talking about the NBA, you were that on the previous level. So I would expect nothing less than that from you. Take us through the process, man, of interviewing, etc. For this is a dream situation, I would say, as the PA voice of the Utah Jazz. Take us through, how do you get to this point?
Again, it was a very arduous process. It's been a year since the Jazz announced that the job was open this month. And so it was close to about 6, almost 7 months of a process. They announced it. I put my name in the hat immediately. And, what that process involved was a submission of a tape, in which I did submit. Subsequent to that, it came to some formal interviews for me and the organization, different levels of the organization. And I was then invited to come out to Salt Lake and interview with, again, some of the same team, but I was also went through the executive team and vetted there. That was in April. So submissions in February and March, interviews during those first 30 to 45 days. Then in April of last year, I was I came out to Salt Lake to interview directly and meet with everyone. And after I was vetted for that, during that time, I was then extended and an invite to come to further put my skills through. And I need to mention April. Not only did I interview with various individuals and teams within the organization, I was also required to go into the arena itself and do some announcing, simulate a game, if you will, up on the video board with a jumbotron. And we couldn't do it fully because the arena was being worked on at the time. And some great improvements, one of the greatest arenas that you will have an experience in the NBA that's been completed. But we went there for simulation. I was invited back for the Salt Lake Summer League, Donald, which was for me to do games and then to further evaluate myself and the other talent that they wanted to consider. I requested to do the very first games. I was very intentional about that so that I can have my impact or my imprinting so that they would have that. And I just wanted to really not necessarily get it out of the way. I was most excited about being able to do those games, right? But I just really wanted to go and, put my stamp on this thing, if you will. And I did 2 games and I left and went home and I kind of, did a bit of a release. I need to share to your audience, by day, I work in the ad world, in the voiceover world. And so I bring that up to tell people, in that world, for those of us who are in the, or on the acting side, as well as the business side, you get a lot of rejection. I do a lot of auditioning a lot for a lot of various different things weekly. And so I knew what rejection was like. And so I bring that up to say, a lot of times when I do auditions, I kind of release them after I'm done and move on to my next items of what I have in terms of my work. That was kind of where I was with this, even though this is something I highly coveted and I really, really wanted to have happen. And so once I finished the Salt Lake Summer League, which I had a blast and I felt like I'd done a very, very good job. I just brought it home and I left it to my maker and my owner. And, I had some other things going on simultaneously with that process, but I just kind of left it there. And later on in September, a call came. I'll put a pin in it right there for your line of questions.
Yeah, I love it. Mark Denmon, he, of course, is the voice of the Utah, PA voice of the Utah Jazz. He joins us right here on Box Row for a couple of more moments. How did you get into the industry? You've got the voice. Like everybody can hear that, right? But of course, how did you get really into this industry of media, voiceover work, PA work, etc.?
It's 30 years aggregate for all of them: film, TV, radio, and live events announcing. The voiceover portion has been the most long, along with broadcasting of radio primarily. And so radio was a lifelong calling. I knew I wanted to do it since I was a young teenager. It was always something that I was drawn to. And so anything to do with mass communications, I always had a magnetism toward. And my voice changed also when I was an early teenager. It lent itself to my interest. But what I'll tell anybody that is in pursuit of this particular discipline, of this profession, it's not always about how low or how high your voice is. It's about your sincerity. It's about your genuineness in terms of how you take on your work and your preparation. And I tell most people, utilize your voice, craft and use your voice for how you want to use it and where you want to use it. And so again, for me, I went into radio as a young man, and that was primarily my background. Radio, as you know, Donald, is very fickle a lot of times, depending, because I was in music formats at that time. But radio is a very fickle industry. And I say that because, sometimes there's a lot of uncertainty. And with that, I had to learn adaptability and learn to be diverse in terms of my income and having my tool belt diverse, which led me to go further into voiceover. Which at that time when I went into it, which was the mid to late 90s, as I date myself here, it was still, voiceover wasn't really an industry like we know it to be nowadays. There was no apparatus where you could really go and get the training. You had to find the individuals who were prominent and dominant in it at that time and go directly to them and get training and get what you needed in order to, and connections and relationships. So training first, relationships, and a stick-to-itiveness, being determined, helped me get into both of those industries. I took a lot of training, a lot of years from various different people all across the country, starting in Atlanta, where I resided. But I had voice coaches from Atlanta, New York, all the way to Los Angeles, and still keep one to this very day. And so my order was radio, voiceover, and then subsequently how I got into live event and specifically public address one night. A good friend of mine who was a football coach at one of our HBCUs asked me about scouting some kids in the metro Atlanta area. One night I was out scouting some games, and while I was looking at some kids, I heard the announcer up in the booth, and it was a packed stadium on this night. Big high turnout, great matchup, and but the announcing was not so good. So I looked around up at the booth, and I was like, oh my God, what is... Mind you, I had not done any games before, okay?
Right.
Just being transparent.
Right.
But I later went and did an inquiry in the county where I lived and asked them about doing high school football. That was my very first sport. That was my location, DeKalb County, Georgia, to be exact. And I was invited to come and start calling Thursday night, Friday night, and Saturday games That's how and where it began for me in the sport of football. At the high school level, I subsequently began high school basketball, high school baseball, and I had a very quick turn from the high school level, Donald. I advanced with the help and with the relationships and with the ambition and the drive that I have. Started doing college games, and it just went from there. But it went from there, sir.
No doubt about it. Last thought, Mark, and we really appreciate the time. Mark Denmon, again, he is the PA voice of the Utah Jazz. And then still coming back, like you, again, I mentioned you did the Andre Dawson Classic just this past Saturday. Some other stuff you're still able to do because your schedule allows for you to do it. Can you kind of speak to that and sort of, keeping with what got you here, if you will?
I love it. I'm very grateful for open dates that don't conflict with some of the built-in things that I've been able to do in the past, particularly and specifically in the HBCU space. It means a much to me. The HBCU space had almost everything to do with where I am today, because a lot of it's where I cut my teeth. A lot of it is where I gained a lot of my opportunities. Yes, I can cite Auburn and places like that, spaces like that, and I'm very grateful for those. But my time serving HBCUs is indefinite. I think being able to maintain my relationship with things like the Andre Dawson Classic, the Ken Griffey's Swingman Classic in the summertime that's also connected to MLB All-Star Weekend, doing the SWAC basketball tournament, salute to Commissioner Williams out at the CIAA. I've never been able to work the CIAA tournament, but it was always a goal because the high standard of what that particular tournament means in our community and on the full sports landscape. Truthfully, when you look at all the impacts that their conference has been able to have, me maintaining and being able to continue to do the work where I was allowed to cut my teeth, serve our people, and give attention and light and a certain bar of professionalism that our student athletes in the community and institutions deserve, it means everything to me. And so for me to be able to maintain and have those relationships, to be able to work many of these events, it means a lot.
No doubt about it. The voice of Mark Denmon. He is, of course, the PA voice of the Utah Jazz. You heard him right there. He joins us right here on Box to Row. Look, man, so well said. You and I have had many conversations over the years. I'm glad we were able to do that and that you could convey exactly not only about yourself, but how to get really into this and your experiences, be able to convey that to our audience. Really appreciate it, man. Continued success in all you do.
Donald, I really appreciate you, your platform. You're over 21 years old, or what is it, 21 this year?
Yep. Yes, sir. There you go. Yes, sir.
And you've been doing it a long time, keeping the bar high for all of us who's in this business. You're eminently qualified, having served as an AD, SID. You understand what it takes to cover this space. And I would never relegate you just to that. You do a great job, and to be on your platform means everything. So I really appreciate you today for the opportunity to communicate these things to your audience and everybody out there who's pursuing these kinds of roles. Stick to it. Don't get down. Don't get deterred. Keep your head up. Keep your eyes and ears open for opportunities, develop relationships, and get practice.